Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is James from Viking Size Game, and today I've got something pretty cool from you, and it's from the Highspots Wrestling Network. Actually, it's a live stream that's being cut up. It was premiered with Kenny Omega, and in this section he talks about the potential AEW video game. Now, this is nothing to do with the GM mode video game that was supposed to be coming out on mobile. That's a separate trademark. This is for the actual console game, and there's a lot of cool bits that are coming out of this. So let's just take a look, because I'm super interested to see what he's got to say.
I don't want to immerse myself in all sort of ages of video games and what games I like, what games everyone liked, what games. There are certain things. For example, you look at what's popular online these days, like Fall Guys, right? Among Us. Like, what makes these things so popular among the common man? They're very simple, right? There's nothing really to them.
Super simple.
I want to make sure that
super casual.
Design a wrestling game. When we put out a wrestling game, not only is it fun to play, and that are you able to do all the maneuvers and all the crazy things you see every Wednesday on TNT, but I think it needs to be pick up and playable as well for the common everyday person. It needs to be fun. So
I mean, this is the problem, isn't it?
I'm sort of studying on the job in a way.
It's hitting all those notes.
An excuse, but it's true. I'm trying to learn by playing, essentially. Yeah.
Let's take a look at the bids. Who's playing?
I mean, when you really think about it, I mean, yeah, of course, that's the goal. That's the idea. That's what you want. The problem being is that that's not what you get every time. You know, when it comes to trying to find a pick-up and playable wrestling game, there's not a lot of them out there. A lot of them take a lot of time to master, to learn. Look at Fire Pro, ridiculously in depth. You can't just pick up and play that. That's not something you could just jump in and immediately know what to do. Yeah, it's a fine line to walk. I mean, let's be honest. If the latest Battlegrounds game came out was AEW Battlegrounds, would you have bought it? Just saying.
No.
Are you in their ear?
Let's make no mistake about it. I am the head creative director of this game.
Oh,
there is nobody else that has as much power in this team as me, which is why it sort of falls on my lap to be responsible for this game if it's good or if it sucks.
Okay.
Much
all complaints go to you.
Yes, please.
Praise will go to somebody else.
Yeah.
So if you've got issues with this game when it comes out, at Kenny Omega, that's what you need to do. But he is a super fan of video games, so I don't expect this to be a bad video game at all.
This game, you know, we have a great team assembled, guys, and we're amassing more people as days go by, and I'm really excited about some of the minds that we have involved. But yeah, in terms of the creative process right now, to get this thing off the ground and rolling and to the point where it's at right now, I've done put in a lot of extra hours, to put it lightly. So,
wow. Sounds like he's like really going in depth with it, and it sounds like he's almost building his own studio for this. I don't know. It could be. I don't know. He may be involved with Ukes. Ukes have been ridiculously quiet. I mean, I don't know. We're waiting out and seeing it, but it sounds like they're developing it themselves. But he's excited about the people that they have on board. So I would assume that it's some decent creative minds that have been in the wrestling games industry previously. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, but I'm excited to show original footage, original gameplay. I just don't know when that will be. Yeah.
Still waiting on it.
Sometimes you feel like you make a lot of headway in like a week, and other times it feels like you just hit a wall and you can't make progress.
I feel that. I feel that with the reboot series.
Causes you to hit a wall.
I think it's like when you try to innovate, when you try to come up with an idea, like something that hasn't been done before in a video game, it's like, I want to implement this. Because if you really think back, like wrestling games in the past, as good as they were, I'm thinking back to like the No Mercies and the WrestleFests.
Yeah.
Wrestling has kind of become, there's a smorgasbord of these new maneuvers and sequences and double teams and triple teams that have never been programmed or put in a game. And it's like, how do you implement the sort of new age 2020 style wrestling, but still make it feel as fun and as playable as those old school games?
He's got a point. When you think about all the types of matches and superstars there are and wrestlers and everything, whatever you want to call them, every single wrestler in the world has their own style, their own match type, that they specialize in. I mean, how do you get a match that's playable when you have somebody like, Ricochet versus Will Ospreay in New Japan? How do you make a match flow like that? And people will want to play matches like that because there's something for everybody in wrestling these days. So it kind of makes me think, well, what can we do that will make this better? How do you implement these sorts of things? And I think about this a lot with the reboot series that I'm doing, is what's logical, what really could be done. That's why I don't try and stray into fantasy so much with the reboot series, because I would like to offer ideas and pitches that are anchored in reality, something that could be achieved, rather than simply just saying, oh, just do this. It's like, why? How would that work? Just having a simple sequence. Even having something as simple as when two guys have the fight exchange, where they're both in the middle of the ring, they're both on their knees struggling and hitting each other, one at a time, and then they slowly get to their feet, and then eventually they're just hammering away at each other as fast as they can until one of them gives. How do you implement that in a game? Is it a quick time event? Is it a cutscene? Is it a specific move but then you don't have any input with it? There's a lot of things to consider. So I kind of get where Kenny's coming from here.
That's sort of the tough part, and I want to make sure that when we do put those things in, that it doesn't feel broken and it doesn't completely break the game. Because you look at like a Jurassic Express match or a Lucha Brothers match, some of the stuff that Phoenix can do, it's like,
it's insane.
Do that, but I want it to still look natural and organic, like how he does it in the ring. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So those are the challenges. Are making sure that these animations and that these things are in this game and represented properly, without breaking the game and having it look like, some recent games that have developed and have had bugs galore. And it's funny. Like, I love watching them. And
2K20.
But I
obviously,
I want it to be a good game.
Yeah,
at the end of the day,
don't we all?
Almost like a match, as opposed to pick somebody up. Repeat it. Yeah. Make it flow, make it feel like an actual.
Make it flow, but then still have access to all your arsenal. Because if you think back to No Mercy engine, the Aki engine, you know what I mean? It's like, if you like grapple, you have a strong grapple, and it's press a button or direction in a button. If you go through a roster, you have some guys have so many moves. A button and a direction and a button isn't enough to cover not even 20% of their arsenal.
It's not even close.
How do we make it so that it's not too confusing for the player, but how do you have it so that you still feel like you're in control of your favorite wrestler?
I covered this in my gameplay reboot for WWE 2K. Stances, which also are set as paces, which could then be set so you have your technical pace, your power pace, and so on. And each one of those is assigned to your up, down, left, right on your D-pad. And that gives you access to a different kind of move set. So your power move set, and then you can use the button and your left stick or your right stick or whatever stick you're going to be using for it to assign a move to that. That opens up like 4 times as many moves. I'm just saying. That's how I've pitched it in my gameplay reboot.
That's the tough part, and I think
I fixed it for you.
Chipping away at it, and a little bit of stuff that we're seeing is looking really good, like really, really good. So again, I'm still excited, but there's challenges every day. Right?
But also too the situations.
Exactly.
Exactly. Is there going to be a playable stage where you can do a Stadium Stampede in this video game? That's what I want to know.
What reaction is that?
I think
that's a big question.
That's a big question.
That is a big question.
AEW backstage, where
he looks pleased with that.
Version of that.
So what I will say for now,
okay,
without saying too much,
okay,
is that if you've seen something on our television or on our pay-per-view there is a good chance that we're looking to implement it in some way, and there's a good chance that this game will sort of revolutionize everything that pro wrestling has done up until this point.
What?
But that is a huge undertaking.
Yeah.
So that may not be ready at launch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like having
every single, you know what I mean? You may not be able to have your mimosa match or whatever on launch. But I'm telling you, we know, we're listening to the fans, and we know what you guys want to do, what you want to play as. We know what kind of variation of weapons that you guys want to use in a hardcore match, for example. And we're listening, and we're going to make sure that these things are all going to be tossed in the salad bowl.
Really?
When you're ready to just throw down. But yeah, that's the exciting part, is the creation of something like a Stadium Stampede.
Ooh.
But possibly.
Possibly, maybe.
Possibly, right?
Yeah.
But you got to think of the things that happen in the Stadium Stampede. There's a lot of wacky things that can go on in a Stadium Stampede.
There is.
That way. And we just want to make sure that if we cross a line and you're getting too wacky, is too wacky a bad thing, or is too wacky a fun thing?
Depends on the wacky.
Or what I'm battling with, because I'm a wacky guy, and I think the wackier the better.
Absolutely.
Which is why, for now, I'm just working very strictly on getting the wrestling part down.
Good.
I mean, I barely know how to wrestle myself, but I'm just working on that wrestling part.
Come on, man.
You know, learning on the job, on the fly. But that stuff, like I said, is so important to us as a company, I think, to release with the game. And we want to have fun modes. You know what I mean? When I played Fire Pro, like a lot of people just like the engine in general. They feel like it's a great wrestling engine, and that there's great sort of psychology implemented within how you play. For me, I just love playing hardcore death matches. Like I like picking up light tubes, breaking them over guys, the exploding ring and all that stuff like that. I wanted to play that.
Yeah.
Gag
So
door.
I'm sure that there's going to be the player who's like, oh yeah, you know, I loved the Escalera de la Muerte match, the ladder match, right? I'm going to want to do a ladder match, or I'm going to want to break a table. We're going to make sure the wrestling is there, but we got to make sure that these gimmicks are also involved too, because these little bells and whistles, even though it's not in the core fundamentals of what pro wrestling is, it's just as important. Yeah. So
Wow. He's got a lot of stuff planned.
Ooh.
I think I heard a
Safe to say, barbed wire broom is in the game.
Barbed wire brooms in the
Already
game.
discussed.